Okay, so here's the fuel pump. This is out of a 2000 Audi A8. A lot of confusion about this pump. If you order one, you look on the bottom here, it's got an extra pickup. If it doesn't have that, it's not going to work. It's only going to work for half the tank. So the pump you want to get is this one. It's VDO, and I don't know if you can read the number there, but it's 405-052-002-001Z. And the only place I could find this is, there are a couple places out of the UK. This one I got from an eBay seller. I'm on the East Coast, US, and I got it in 3 days. So this is the actual pump. Here's the pump housing. You zoom back, so I've already removed it from the car. There is a video on YouTube of a guy removing the pump housing. If you buy this whole part from the dealer, it's about 700 bucks. The pump itself, which I'm going to replace in a minute, I think was 160 or 170 delivered. So you can save a few bucks by pulling this thing apart, just replacing the pump and then reinstalling the pump housing. So let me do that, and we'll see if we can get a step-by-step. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm separating the pump from the housing. There's a hose clamp there, fuel injection clamp. I just cut that off, and now I'm going to separate the hose from this pickup metal tube. Okay, getting this separated is a little tricky. You see there's a tab here, kind of locks it in. So what I did on the other side is I just sort of pried up. Now if you break this, then you're going to have to get a pump housing, so be real careful. This, by the way, that's the pickup tube that if it doesn't seat correctly, that's when you read all the posts about cars running out of gas once they get below a half a tank. So if you get the wrong pump, or this isn't seated right, and you have more than a half a tank of gas, it might look like it's working, but then you find out the hard way it's not. Alright, so let me get the top of this off. This is from another one that I did, and when it's separated, that's what the part looks like. And then you can get access to the pump inside the housing. So here, I pried on one side, I pried on the other, and then just rotate it a little bit. And you can see that tab is now past where it was locked under here, so I should be able to pull this out. I've already taken that hose clamp off. Parts separated. So far I've only undone that clamp, pried up on each side, rotated this to the right, might be able to do it to the left, and then just pull it out. That little seal creates a little bit of tension. So now you can see, let me rotate around, if I pull up on the hose, you can see the pump housing kind of sliding around inside. So the pump's inside that. And here's what that part looks like. This is from the old pump that I did. So the pump is now sitting down inside that hole, and this is the part that I'm going to pull out in just a second. Before I pull it out, you can see I made a line here and here. One of the best tools I've got in the shop is a Sharpie. I use it all the time, and this is a good reason why. So that way when I pull this out and I get lost with the orientation, all I have to do is line up these two marks. So let me do that and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've got the pump inner housing separated from the outer housing here. You can see everything's still all connected. But interesting turn of events. This pump's been making noise since I bought the car about 2 years ago. And take a look inside here. Yeah, pretty caked up. And the bottom of the pickup is all clogged. So I'm wondering if I don't actually have a bad pump, but a really dirty tank, and maybe the filter's clogged. The car, like I said, has been making a noise, buzzing noise, like the pump's been going bad for about 2 years. And my wife's got the exact same car with about 100,000 more miles on it, and my car's nowhere near as fast. just has never felt the same. Runs great, but I think this could be the reason why. So I'm going to go ahead and change this pump anyway, since I've got it all apart. But now I'm suspect of the pump actually being bad. Could be filtration clogging issues, so I'll keep going here. Okay, so the next thing to do is to actually remove the pump, and that's easy. You can see there's two tabs here. Just pull these out and slide it in. And I think what I'm going to do, you're probably not going to be able to do this, but I just happen to have an extra one here. Because this one is a lot cleaner, I think I might just pop my new pump in here and use this screen, and everything is in great shape. Otherwise I'd have to take some time and clean that up. So because I have an extra one, I probably won't bother. But let me actually make the swap over with the pump, and I'll come right back. Okay, there's the pump. And one thing I did was, again, using the Sharpie, I made a mark here, and that lines up to the post on the pump. Can't really see it, it's right there. Again, just so I don't have to really think about the orientation when I reinstall the pump back into this inner housing. So let me make that swap and we'll finish this up. Okay, so I'm making the swap here, 7mm nut on each one of these wires that you can see here. Green is positive, that goes on the right. And again, I'm all about orientation, so I've got the new pump and the old pump, and I double check. The top of the pump is marked, but just in case you can't see that, got the orientation the same. Swap those two wires off. I need to cut that fuel line and reinstall a new hose clamp, and then I'll pop it back in the housing. Okay, I made the swap. About to install the new pump. See, I've got a hose clamp here. I don't think there's much tension on that. The only thing I'm thinking about is with the ethanol, how long is that hose clamp going to last? I think it's stainless, but not 100% sure, so I might check that before I wrap this up. And then I just need to reinstall the pump in the pump housing. Now, before I said I made some marks with a Sharpie. You can do that, but the bottom of the pump, that large opening and that small opening, that basically make it a keyway to get into the bottom of this inner pump housing. So it really can only fit one way, and you'll know you have it right when it drops all the way down and it sits flush. So, and I think you can check on the bottom. I'll do that now. Okay, I was wrong. You can't actually see it from the bottom, and I remember this part was a little tricky from the last time. So the pump went all the way down and seated on the bottom, but it's not right. So this tab has got to be on top of that silver part. I think you could easily screw this up and put it back together the way it is now, and the pump is not seated, so I've got to pull it out, rotate it. Might take me a couple of tries. And that's why those marks are probably more important, so you can drop it down the first time. So let me do that, and then I'll come back and I'll shoot a little video of those clips in the right place. Okay, that part was a little trickier than I remember. So what I did was I took my old fuel pump, the one that I think is good, and you can see the two holes at the bottom, and here are the two holes at the bottom of the pump. So the hole that you see on your left has got to line up with the hole on the right on the bottom. Okay, so the pump housing is back in. Same deal, just drop that in and then spin it until it bottoms out. When it doesn't go any lower, it's in the right spot. So I'm going to, what do I need to do? Connect that fuel line up to the metal pickup tube, and then reinstall this. And then the fuel pump will be done, ready to install back in the car. That's the fun part. Alright, this is interesting. This is the old pump hooked up to 12 volts. As I move it around, cuts out or stops. So I don't know. There was a lot of dirt in there. Maybe this was just a bad pump. Let me try this with the other pump that I've got. Alright, here's the pump from my wife's car, which I replaced with 160,000. Sounds a lot different. A little sloppy, but sounds like it's pumping pretty well. Let me compare that to the other one again. Alright, so here it is running again. This is the old pump, 88,000 miles. Actually sounds smoother, it sounds better than the other pump. Let me just make sure that's not the connection here. Yeah, I think when if I shake this, it cuts in and out, so sounds better when it runs, but definitely something wrong with it. Okay, got everything back together. This plastic piece here with that little catch in the front, I sort of forgot how I did this last time. So what I did was I spun it till that latch is locking the front, and then the pump has to be in the right position, that inner housing inside the large housing here, in order to get those tabs locked back down. So once that, there's a little, well, it's kind of big actually, an O-ring that goes around that piece. Once that disappears, you know it's down flush, and then you've got to get the tab on each side to lock. So what I did was I just took a screwdriver, kind of pushed down in one of those slots, and then push that part in on each side. And once it's in and locked, you can't see the gasket, you know it's flush, you should be good to go. So this is everything on the pump housing. The next step will just get it to be able to reinstall it back in the car. Hopefully this will help somebody out. So I'll shoot some video of that. Stay tuned.